Hello, everybody. I'm Lori Jo Vest, and I'm here with Kylie Metcalf, and we are two of the team members at Pop Speed Digital Marketing. And we are here today to talk to you about the top 10 ways you can maximize your social media ROI. We've been doing this for a while. We live and breathe social media. I know a lot of people that are in our audience today probably don't spend 90% of their time on Facebook, internet, Twitter/X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and I don't know, what did I forget? Pinterest. I mean, there's a
Saying
million of them
everywhere
out
in
there right now.
between.
They're everywhere, and that's where we live. So, we thought we'd get together today. We're going to be doing a series of LinkedIn Lives, and we want to help you get more from your social media. So, Kylie, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and cover slide number one. If you're in our audience, please ask us any questions you have. We'll just drop in your question and talk about it as we go, or you can save it toward the end. We're going to try to keep this 20 or 30 minutes just to minimize the time you need to take out of your day. So, Kylie, I'm going to have you start with number one.
Absolutely, happy to. So, what we recommend everybody starts with before getting started on social media or even with digital marketing to begin with is crafting a strategy. Crafting a strategy sounds like an obvious step one, but you'd be very surprised how many people kind of miss it. And we
Yeah.
see just kind of throwing stuff online and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So what happens with a social media strategy is you're going to start by setting clear goals and objectives. What does success look like with your social media approach? What does that mean to you, to your brand? Following that, you're going to identify your target audience, who you want to reach, why you want to reach them, the demographics of that person, just your clear cut, the key person you'd like to reach if things go well. And then following that, once you know who you're trying to reach and what success looks like based on your social media, you will then develop content themes. What kind of things do you want to post? What kind of story do you want to tell about your brand? And determine how often and what kind of posts you're going to prioritize. And then ultimately, following the strategy, then you're off to the races. And of course, you'll always adjust as needed, but it really gives you a clear way to visualize what comes next.
Yeah, it always surprises me how many people will just, throw things out there with no thought to what they want to accomplish. And then they come
Yeah,
back and say, social media doesn't work.
right.
Social media works, but you have to plan for what you want it to do, how you want to use it. Who is your target audience? And a few other things that would go in a strategy would be, who is your audience and what are they looking for? What do they need that you can provide to help them in their journey? And part of a strategy as well, we do ideation sessions and we come up with themes for content. We come up with, what should be in there every single month. For example, we have a charitable organization that at the holidays they get 20% of honey baked ham gift cards that people buy. So every, that's a once a month or, at least a seasonal thing that's in our strategy. If we know that people don't know very much about an organization, we may add a 101 post every single month to build the perception of the audience. But if you never talk about what your strategy is and what you want social to do and how it might do it, no strategy, no results. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's always surprising to me how many people have never done a social strategy. And then when they see what we do, they're like, whoa, that's
Oh,
deep.
wow. Right.
It should be, because in order for it to work, you have to give it some thought. You have to spend some time with it. And it's for us, it's like, falling off a log, as my grandmother used to
Right.
say, right? For us, it's just like, yeah, no big deal. It's what we do. But if social media isn't your thing, invest some time in strategizing, to determine what you want and what you want it to look like, what you want it to do. So that's number one. Number two is knowing your social platforms. It's what, again, we spend lots of time on it, But there are all kinds of resources out there that you can go to research the different channels and find out where your audience is. You may think your audience is on LinkedIn when a Facebook group might be a better place for you to be. So,
Right.
tailoring content to fit the platform and its audience, researching the platform and its audience, who's using these platforms, how old are they, what are they into, how do they use it? Those that kind of information is what's going to help you determine what platforms are the most relevant to get the results that you want to get. So knowing your social platforms is a place to start, but you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours on it, on the platforms to discover that information. I always
Mhm.
recommend some of the companies that do that have platforms like HubSpot has a platform, Sprout Social, Loomly, all those kinds of organizations because they do really good research about how people are using the different platforms out there. The information is at your fingertips. You just got to look for it. So, not that hard. So, this next one is for you, Kylie.
Yes. Review your analytics. This is so important, and you'd be so surprised how overlooked it gets so often with people we see all the time. What we mean by reviewing your analytics is taking a peek. We do a very pretty extensive deep dive once per month, but we're constantly checking on our clients, seeing week by week what's performing, what isn't, what we should do more of. So by reviewing your analytics, you're taking a peek at engagement, reach, clicks, those sort of preset KPIs, key performance indicators.
Mhm.
Those preset KPIs and whether or not we're meeting them with our social effort. So, how is engagement looking? What kinds of our posts are getting the most impressive engagement, reaching the highest
Mhm.
amount of people, and what sort of post is enticing our audience to click to wherever we want them to click, whether that's to a blog, a website, an event page, so many options. And by seeing those numbers, seeing what's working, you're then able to interpret what's performing the best and insert more of that into month by month your content schedule. Um, you can expect it to fluctuate every month. Not every single month is going to be, the most impressive high engagement month you've ever seen. It's normal to see fluctuations, but by taking constant looks and peaks and adjusting as needed, you're really staying on top of what it is that your audience is responding to.
Absolutely. I love it when we discover something new, like that a particular type of content is
Mm-hmm.
really magnetically engaging to the audience. And the way you discover that is by looking at the back end. You don't see the click throughs. You don't see a lot of the numbers just by looking at the post. So you want to look at the
Mm-hmm.
back end and see what's really happening. We also discovered just by constantly reviewing analytics that if you go to Instagram, if you share highlights and stories, you're going to reach a huge number of people who don't follow you, which
Mm-hmm.
if you never look, you wouldn't know. We're always looking at it. So we're like, oh, this is amazing. We reached 64% of more people that weren't following us on Instagram. And so it's not always followers. Sometimes it's other people expanding your awareness, expanding, the brand identity to a new audience. And so those are the things that you find out with analytics. So you don't ever want to neglect them, and you want to at least take a good solid look at your analytics um, once a month. And we gather them all
Mm-hmm.
together, and then we do what we call um, uh, recommendations and observations so that our
Mm-hmm.
clients can, take a look at it and go, yeah, let's do that. Let's do more of this. Let's do less of that. So, okay, slide number 4. Kindly, I'll take this one.
Yeah. Okay.
UGC, user generated content is king right now. And one of the things that we've figured out how to do for some really interesting clients is getting followers to share content about your brand on their own pages, but also to share their photos with you to allow you to share them. Because what we learned in the last couple months is that Instagram or influencers are out. Authentic UGC is in. People understand that an influencer is being paid to say what they say. So
Right.
if you see, there's a treadmill really hot right now, and if you see an influencer post about that treadmill, you know they've been paid or gotten a free treadmill. Now, if I go in because I got a free treadmill or didn't get a free treadmill, but I bought my treadmill and I go out and put a post up about it, that has a lot more leverage in the consumer's mind because I wasn't paid, I wasn't incentivized, I just decided to do it. And then as a brand, you go in and find that natural UGC and you share that. And it's a lot more effective for click throughs, for engagement than things that look like they're done by influencers.
Mhm.
So building a community and really, what do you say, really engaging with your people and being people in that conversation with your community
Mm.
management will help you get more UGC. And it's hottest form of content right now.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say, I think that's another layer into that too, is, not only are you then, using authentic content that other consumers respond best to, but then you're kind of building brand loyalty with those users that had shared their experience and increasing their likelihood for them to continue to engage with you following that because they're so happy that, oh, this brand that I love shared my content. So it really
yeah,
is just a win-win-win scenario to share UGC.
definitely. So this one's yours, Kylie. Consistency is key. This one
Consistency
seems to
is
be hard
key.
for people.
Yes, yeah, we've seen a lot of brands struggle with this. Basically, what we mean by consistency is if you're posting on your brand's account once and then you go silent for 2 weeks and then you post again and then you go silent for a month, that's not going to be effective. You're not going to achieve your goals. You're not going to reach your audience that way. It's really important to maintain a consistent voice and a consistent presence in your consumer's mind on social media by posting regularly, by keeping an eye. Another thing you can tell by your analytics is the best times to post for your brand and your audience when you're going to reach the most amount of people by paying attention to those things and consistently meeting those needs of your audience. And again, by staying and always reverting back to your social media strategy, as we said, of course, you're going to see adjustments as you go, but by being consistent and kind of keeping ahead, as the image says, stay on the trail. You don't want to veer off course. You don't want to just stop posting because things got busy for a month at a time. Um, so yeah, it's really important to maintain that presence, keep up that presence, and then our final point, to respond to comments and questions daily. We call this community management, and it's kind of the same sort of thing. As you're posting, you're gonna eventually be receiving private messages, direct messages, depending on the platform, and questions in your comments. So, along with posting, if your audience has questions, it's important to respond to them.
Absolutely, because we do see a lot of that too. We do a
Yeah.
lot of auditing, like people bring us in and they'll have us audit their channel and then audit their competitors. And it's amazing to me how many people will post beautiful, imagery, nice content, not maybe not great because if they don't know that consistency in responding to community is critical, then they may not be that good at social media overall. But it's really interesting. We've got a comment here from Sabrina. How often should you check community management? Sabrina actually does our community management. So she checks twice a day, morning and late afternoon, to see what's happening out there. What's happening? What are the people saying? Is there a question? Has someone left one of those creepy, spammy comments to one of your community
Mhm.
members saying, I've been trying to friend you, and if so, delete it. So there's a lot to be said for being responsive to your audience on the platforms. And also staying consistent. Social media is a long game. It is not a
Yeah.
short game. It's not something you're going to see results right away. But over time, it builds on itself. If you're not consistent, you never give it a chance to build. So you're going to be one of those people that says social media doesn't work, but it does. So it definitely works. So let's go on to the next one. Getting to know your competition. I really like doing this. I love doing audits of competitors of our clients because it does help you get a strong feeling for what is happening in that space. What are the consumers seeing in that industry? And you can identify gaps and opportunities. You're going to see things that they're doing, things that they're not doing. You may see something that they're doing that you can do better, that they're doing that really works, that you can put your own spin on. I've heard it said there are no unique ideas. Ideas are everywhere. It's just a matter of who grabs them. So a little snooping around in what other brands are doing can help elevate what your brand does. And you can also differentiate your unique strengths. It'll help you see what are they saying that is different than what we say. How can we put ourselves in a unique position? And the only way to do that is to know what your competitors are doing and what their customers, which are also potentially your customers, are seeing on social. So pay attention. Kylie, this is yours. Hashtags.
Hashtag.
Oh, the constantly misunderstood hashtags.
Absolutely. So, contrary to what many people believe, hashtags and keywords are very important to expanding your reach on social media. That does depend on the platform. We recommend on Instagram using, I believe it's up to 20 hashtags.
Hmm.
And on LinkedIn, we see the sweet spot is right between about 3 to 6. So by selecting these hashtags, you're not necessarily doing it all willy-nilly and seeing what works. There are ways to research effective hashtags for your industry. Um, Hashtagify is a great resource. On LinkedIn, there is a feature right up in the search bar to allow you to search hashtags and determine how many people follow those hashtags and how much response certain hashtags actually get. So by researching and implementing relevant keywords and phrases and hashtags into your regular content, you're really going to see an expansion of your reach into the proper audience. Because essentially, if you're a dentist office, you want to hashtag the word dentist for anybody looking for a dentist, for anybody um, for anybody seeking, referrals and things like that. So it's really important to use the right hashtags for your industry, do the research, and then incorporate them consistently and across the board. There are also vanity hashtags. This is something we recommend more so on Facebook. Facebook's features don't necessarily allow for um, greatly expanded reach based on your hashtags, but vanity hashtags do a great job of creating a brand, like brand recognizability, and kind of furthering the community aspect of
Hmm.
what your audience is going to see on social. So they'll recognize it immediately as a post from your brand and essentially kind of equate you to whatever that hashtag is that you're trying to align yourself with.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick example. We have a cancer charity, and the cancer charity, our vanity hashtag that we use is tougher together. And basically, what it says is we can handle, everybody handles any difficult situation better when there's people supporting them. So, tougher together is one of those things that reminds our followers that they're part of a community of people fighting cancer. And that when they help, it makes it easier for the people suffering that diagnosis and the treatment that comes with it. So, vanity hashtags can be super fun. I recommend if you're going to use them, you put it right at the beginning because it can be part of your messaging strategy to say something really succinctly with a hashtag. And to don't use hashtags without researching. Just don't. It's just such a waste. We see so many where it's just this random list, and you're like, what are they trying to achieve? If you go up into the search bar for most channels like Instagram, you can see what the most popular hashtags are in that category. Use the most popular hashtags. That's what's going to expand your audience. So, yeah, hashtags are more important than some people understand. So, let's go to the next slide. Always, always, always budget for an ad spend. This is one of the things, this is one of the biggest misconceptions I think about social media is that it's a free, organic way to advertise your product. And honestly, oof, in a lot of cases, if you put a post up on LinkedIn or Facebook and you don't put any money behind it, it might get shown to 40 people, 50, 75. Social media has really become a pay to play environment. And whenever we're, working with a client, part of our strategy is to determine who the audiences are and how much to spend. If you want to put a few posts out organically to kind of see which one does best and then boost the ones that perform the best, that's a great tactic, but it's also a really good tactic to take your audience of people maybe that you have on a mailing list that you know are your people, drop them into Facebook or LinkedIn and create a lookalike that looks like your ideal customers. It's very advanced what can be done in promotion, paid promotion on social media. So always include in your social budget some money for social media advertising. Depending on the size of your company and how difficult it is to get that consumer to move toward your funnel, you may want a bigger budget if you're, pushing an audience that's maybe has a lot of a lot of defense mechanisms built in. They don't want to contact anyone, or if they're just difficult to reach, you may have to reach them 3 or 4 times to get them to actually click and move through your process. So always include a budget for an ad spend. So now we're on number 10. We're almost done. I think we're going to get done under 25 minutes.
I think
Number
so.
9. This is one of my favorites.
Stand out by fitting in. Yes. So basically, what we mean by this is that trends are trendy for a reason, whether it's a funny meme or something going on in our culture or society that a large audience is resonating with. It's okay to fit yourself into those things when they align with your brand. A lot of your audience will find it relatable. A lot of your audience will make them laugh, or it will let them know that your brand is, behind the brand. It's just people that are, aligned with similar things as you, or that your brand is authentic and shares similar values. Um,
Mhm.
so we think that it's just, you don't have to be cryptic or fully, what is the word I'm looking for? You don't have to be cryptic or just sort of engulfed in this fully unique identity that doesn't align with the rest of the world. It's okay to, you know, fit in with everything else that's happening on social. And sometimes that can be your best performing content, is by like standing out by fitting in, essentially. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I like to tell people that people go to social media to be social,
mhm,
not to see promotions and brand content. That the best way to stand out is by looking like what everybody else shares, what the people on social media share. So there's
mhm,
a lot of situations where we've come into to take over social media and we find a whole bunch of branded graphics, listicles and just things that are very promotional in nature, and we turn around and use a lot of UGC, a lot of photos that aren't branded, don't have text on them, and we get much better results. So, looking like the content people come to social media to see is what will get more engagement. We don't go to social media to see ads. We go to social media to see what our friends and family members are up to, maybe our business associates. So stand out by fitting in. Look like what else everyone else's content looks like, and that doesn't usually mean like a whole bunch of branded graphics and borders and logos and all that. That makes you actually easier to scroll by, in my opinion. So,
mhm.
all right, we are at the final one. Actually, there was a 10 and a half, but this one is really interesting. I think don't overthink it. I've been in environments where people just constantly, look at one piece of social content and ask a million questions and water it down to where it's kind of pablum by the time they're done. Don't be afraid to show genuine personality, embrace imperfections, and learn from mistakes. Social media really is about connecting with other people. So I always say if you think of your social media as being created by the people behind the brand, you can't go wrong. You are people. People like to connect with other people. Don't overthink it. Be real, be authentic, and make mistakes because everyone will mispost a post. In my opinion, if you're in social media at one point in your career or another, you will mispost a post. It will probably not happen more than once or twice because we learn quickly. But if you
Right.
make a mistake, don't overthink that either. Let it go and move on. Social media is very forgiving. You take it down, it goes away. As long as you're not doing something crazy controversial. So, and our last slide, we are at 25, 21. Our last slide is bring us in to manage this for you. Why do we say that, Kylie?
Because the professionals, whether you're on the stage where you're crafting your strategy or if you're in the thick of a strategy that's not working, we have the experience and the receipts to prove that we know how to do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on strategies. We spend a lot of time on social media, and we are all about results. So if you have any questions, please drop them into the comments and we can bring them up. Otherwise, we have about 4 minutes left. One of the things that we like to talk about a lot, and the reason we put this deck together is because so many agencies and companies will say, well, we'll just have the creative department do the social. And that's like 6 or 8 people. So there's not one person responsible for the social. And I always say, if everyone's watching the 3-year-old at the lake, nobody's watching the 3-year-old at the lake. You have to assign it to one person. You have to, at least to ride herd and make it happen, they can get input from a lot of other people. But if you assign it to a group of people and nobody's responsible, that's when you have that intermittent content that goes up once a month, every 2 or 3 weeks, and it gets you nothing. And then people say social media doesn't work. Well, it does work. So we will leave you with that. Social media works, and we are happy and here to help you to amp up your social media so you get more ROI. Please get in touch with us if we can help you. Our website is at popspeeddigital.com. And we'd love to hear from you. And if you would like a 30-minute conversation to audit your current social presence, private message me and we'll set that up. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Kylie, for being here. And
yeah.
that's it for now. See you guys in about another month.